Yo, what is going on YouTube? I am Germ here. Today we have another stock market video. Two of the big earnings reports that I was interested in taking a look at after hours today. Today is October 28th. It is Wednesday. The first of those being Pinterest. Pinterest is obviously one of these companies that has benefited from the coronavirus pandemic very, very greatly. As we can see here around the March dip, they were around $11. I think their 52-week low was even around $10.50. Before the whole pandemic, they were around $25, and they are currently sitting at around $58. They're again another one of these like e-commerce online business companies that people have just really been loving as people have been staying at home. They've been spending money online more. They've been spending more time on their computers, and companies like Pinterest have definitely been taking advantage of this. One of the reasons I was really interested in them as well is because they're one of these companies that is currently at an all-time high. A lot of these tech companies we saw reach an all-time high like in the September area when everything was going crazy, maybe even August a little bit, but then they've all come down a little bit. We're talking about Apple, Tesla, Microsoft, Netflix, all those companies. But the companies that are able to still be at all-time highs right now have shown a little bit more strength, a little bit more momentum into the like October, November area. So that's why I'm kind of interested in Pinterest. They're not one of the super companies that everyone's really hyped up about right now. So they might kind of be that next wave, flying under everybody's radar a little bit. And again, whenever a company's at an all-time high, there is some extra momentum getting them there. So I think there is a little something behind Pinterest. But they did have their quarter 3 earnings report for 2020 after hours today. Their expectations were 2 cents per share, and they absolutely blew that out of the water, with 13 cents per share being their actual. When we take a look at the specific financials, their quarter 3 revenue grew 58% year over year to $443 million. Their global monthly active users grew 37% to 442 million. And again, a lot of that was expected because this is what we're seeing with like all of these social media, tech, online, e-commerce companies and businesses. Because people are home more, people are looking for things to do, people are looking for ways to spend their money. You can't go to stores, and Pinterest is just absolutely massive, especially with like women and stuff like that. I know so many people that just are on Pinterest constantly looking up recipes, buying stuff, little knickknacks and everything. So obviously they've been able to take advantage of this very well. Again, taking a look at the revenue, 58% increase year over year. Their net loss is down 24%. Something I thought was really interesting is their international growth, 145% year over year. That has to be an amazing sign if they can continue to pick up more of that international market. And then their outlook, their current expectation is that quarter 4 revenue will grow around 60% year over year, a modest acceleration compared to our growth rate in quarter 3. They're going to continue to navigate uncertainty given the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. So they are giving a favorable outlook for the future, but they're tampering expectations a little bit. They're also operating in a more remote working environment while maintaining investments in the long-term strategic priorities of the company. They're going to continue to evaluate their spending as the situation evolves. So again, they are giving some favorable outcomes and expectations for the future, but keeping expectations big but like reasonable, hopefully, which is always a good sign because you don't want to promise too much, because then that's always going to be bad in the long term if you can't deliver. But obviously, as you can see, they closed around $48.99 and they've since popped 19%, almost up 20% in the after hours. Again, they're sitting at around $58.80. The stock's going crazy. It went all the way up to $60.17 for a second, but it's bouncing back down. It was down to maybe even like $57 for a second, back up to $59. It's going all over the place. This is one that I'm definitely going to be watching. And this is actually one of my candidates for a potential continuation into tomorrow. Pinterest has everything that I like. A company that I believe in long term, a company that can continue to benefit from the COVID pandemic, because again, we don't know when this is going to end anytime soon. Also, they're a company that does well in kind of the younger millennial demographic and stuff, so they have a good future ahead of them, hopefully, if they can continue to hang on to that. Again, the international growth, I think, is awesome. But also the fact that they're at an all-time high is great. That means they have a lot of momentum still carrying, whereas some of these other tech companies are starting to fade a little bit. So Pinterest is somebody I'm going to be looking at open tomorrow, potentially buying some option plays for. Again, none of this is financial recommendations. I don't think you guys should follow any of this. I'm just kind of documenting my thoughts and opinions for educational and entertainment purposes. But yeah, you guys can make the decisions on your own. But I'm going to potentially be looking at them for some options for maybe a month or two out. Because I think Pinterest, just like we saw with Snapchat, kind of has an opportunity to continue running. When we saw Snapchat, they did have this big pop with their earnings, just like Pinterest did, the same kind of straight up. But then as you can see, they opened at about 37.93, and they've continued to run all the way to 43.45. I think Pinterest could have some very, very similar action. So again, for Snapchat, I bought options right around here. I've held them to about here. I've been able to make like 500, 600% on those plays, and I'm going to be looking at doing the very same thing for Pinterest at open tomorrow. Now, if the entire market's red again, that kind of play won't work out. But if the market's green or even trades evenly tomorrow, that could be a very, very good play. Earnings continuations are always good. The other play we have, or the other earnings that I was taking a close look at, is eBay. They closed at around 53.25. This is another obviously e-commerce company that people have been pretty hyped about. Their numbers, their sales, everything has been way up, especially in Q3. They did really well. They have a lot of new things going on. They're adding sneaker verification and authentication services. They're lowering fees on sneakers over $100. They're really trying to get into that sneaker market and start getting into collectibles more and more. But the one thing that does worry me about eBay is they're kind of this older giant that has kind of maybe not been as exciting a company, not as innovative. Their website isn't as clean, up to date. They're not kind of this new age tech company. They're kind of that old school. So that's always worried me about them a little bit. But I am someone who uses eBay a ton. I do love the company. I do like what they do. I love their service. So I've always felt like I needed to kind of show them some love a little bit. But I actually don't own any stock for eBay or Pinterest. Just kind of throwing that out there. If I had to have one of the stocks right now, I guess I wish it would be Pinterest, obviously. But before this, I would have said eBay. But now seeing how Pinterest is able to do, I am more looking at them. eBay, I still believe to be a relatively safe company in the long term. But I just don't think they're going to see like insane amounts of growth anymore, at least from this point. Pinterest, it seems like, could continue to run a little bit. But eBay also had their earnings. They actually missed, which is not a very good sign. They were estimated about 86 cents per share. They actually missed just by 1 cent. So that's not terrible. But a lot of these tech companies, again, they're benefiting hugely from the pandemic, people staying in, people having to order stuff more, and missing expectations right now, especially when a lot of companies are beating by crazy amounts and kind of fudging their expectations and stuff a little bit just to overshoot and get people hyped up. It's not a great sign. And again, eBay closed at around 53.25, and on this news, they dropped all the way down to 51. They have rebounded a little bit, but eBay is very, very volatile right now. I don't know where that number is actually going to settle. Maybe it's even down to 52 now. So they're only down 2% after hours, which isn't terrible, but it's not what we wanted to see. Obviously, we would have wanted to see eBay beat by a little bit more, and then have a really big pop. But that's not what's happening. It's kind of the tale of two stocks with Pinterest and eBay. So going forward into tomorrow and the rest of the week, I'm definitely staying away from eBay for a little while. I'm going to see how that all plays out. But again, if I'm looking at options, I think Pinterest is a very, very interesting one for me. It's definitely one I'm going to be taking a look at tomorrow morning, and probably going to be making some plays on. Other than that, I wanted to talk about Snapchat a little bit as well. They just continue to run up. I got a little bit scared here as we started to dip around. They went down a little bit, and it wasn't the best, but I'm glad I held on to my Snapchat options plays and my Snapchat stocks, because they've just continued to run, continue to go up. It's been an absolutely crazy week for Snapchat stockholders, and that's definitely a company I believe in the short term and in the long term, as being like kind of this next big social media. It's already massive, but I think it does have some room to grow as well. But yeah, that's kind of my little stock market review for the day, kind of the plays and things that I'm thinking about, and kind of my thoughts on the earnings reports we saw today. But that's pretty much it for this video today, guys. Definitely drop a like if you enjoyed it. Leave a comment down below. What plays are you guys looking at making? Are you interested in Pinterest, eBay, Snapchat, any of that stuff? Anything you guys are thinking about? Especially we still have some big earnings coming up the rest of the week, some awesome plays to be made. It's kind of a crazy time where we're seeing some big drops in the stock market, but there still are some plays to be had going up and down. You can, there's always the other side as well. But yeah, anything you guys have going on, I would love to hear and talk about. Let me know. Subscribe, stay up to date on all the latest content. Hopefully I catch you guys in the next one. But until then, peace.